visit a new city, who here takes a guidebook? But how many of you own a guidebook for your own city? A few. We grow up here, we visit places that family, friends, schools take us to. But for the most part, there are so many things we're still unaware of. I was born and grew up in Manchester, and every time I go back, I discover new places that I'd never heard of before. I've been in Derby for well over a decade now, and I've loved finding out about local history, reading up on the people that lived here and the things that happened. There's so much of it, so many interesting buildings, so much interesting history here. What struck me is how so many amazing things are largely unknown to a lot of the people who've lived here their whole lives. How an ancient well that was once a major site of pilgrimage is now in a car park surrounded by concrete, just with a sign that says not drinking water. And how we walk past doorways without realising the inventions that were dreamed up within. You can find out about a lot of these things in local history books, but I wanted to find a way to make them more immediate to the people who live here and the people who visit. Now, I love maps. I really love maps. I love making new maps. I love plotting out different places and then working out the best route so I can go to as many different places as possible. But the trouble with maps, you spend a lot of time looking down at them. And the thing about cities, the best bits are all around you. And the thing with buildings, especially buildings in Derby, most of the best bits, you have to look up to see them. So I wondered about a different kind of map. As an experiment, I wrote out a journey. I described buildings that I'd walk past, trees to go under, and where it would eventually lead you to. And I recorded it. I wanted to see if it would work as a map when listened to. And it did. So the idea of story maps was born. I know a story as a map isn't a new idea. Homer did it with the Odyssey. And some scholars do dismiss the idea that he was basing it on real places. But a lot of scholars believe that the places that he spoke about, he was actually describing a map of a voyage, and that the places, each new character he encountered, was somehow rooted in the landscape. So, for instance, Scylla and Charybdis. In the book, Scylla is the six-headed rock monster, and Charybdis is the whirlpool/monster. Experts have figured out that these are possibly the Strait of Messina, which is the narrow strip of sea between Sicily and the Italian mainland. It's a very dangerous bit of sea. It's only 1.9 miles wide, and there's a whirlpool there. And it would make sense to warn sailors who were taking this voyage of the dangers that would be there. And this really fired my imagination, just the idea of how words can lead you to new places. And then I heard about songlines. Indigenous Australians would use songs that told a story, but that also pointed out landmarks like watering holes, rock formations, trees. Each group would have their own set of songlines, and they'd use them. They'd pass them down from generation to generation, and then use them to travel vast distances across the outback, sometimes hundreds of kilometres. And they'd just pick out different points in the landscape and remember them and sing them along to the next generation. It's just fascinating. So this fascinated me, and I just thought, well, if people can use maps and stories to get from across oceans and to get across deserts, then my idea of using stories as a map to get people across one bit of a city to another, whilst taking in a few details, didn't sound so crazy. So I started gathering information. I looked into the things that I loved, places that interested me. And I'm a big nerd for buildings, so they featured really heavily in the first few story maps. But then I started asking other people about what they liked, things that they loved about the city. And I ended up with a really big list of new places to check out. What came next was the fun bit, exploring, doing some research, then writing stories that tied them all together. Once I'd done that, I had to work out how to get from A to B, how to bring in that particular tree that someone had pointed out, and then how to bring in the bridge that someone else had pointed out. And then when I had a few story maps that did this, I had to figure out how to get it to other people. How do I share this with more people? Because my friends liked it and I liked it, and I thought, well, maybe other people will like it too. So what I came up with was the internet. I wish I could come up with the internet. I started building a website, and on the website right now at this minute there is a story map for you to try out, and you can use it and you can go out and explore your city. I'm going to read you some of it now. This is the starting point. It's older than regiments, than teams. It began before things were widely written, back when tales were passed down from person to person, each one embellishing the original idea to make it their own. A ram. A ram bigger than mountains, a ram of supernatural power. Songs sung and stories told about its blood-filling hollows in the earth to become rivers and lakes, its bones forming the landscape as we know it. The Derby ram. It's here in statue form, story made solid. And so it's here we begin. Stand facing the ram, your toes pointing toward the granite heft of it. Notice the glint of quartz, if there's sunshine. Look up to your left to see the intricate carvings on the old co-op buildings. These were created by stonemasons from the co-op funeral service over 100 years ago. And I head down the side of these buildings, down Exchange Street towards the road. Notice the domed roof of the Corn Exchange on your right. It's copper turned green. Squint and imagine it golden, shining. Once produce was no longer sold here, it enjoyed a time as a Palais De Danse. People of the town would meet, step inside in their Sunday best, sweep across the wooden dance floor as music filled the space. Afternoon sunlight filtered in through high windows, and shadows were cast, secrets were whispered. When you're ready, cross the road. The market hall, with its arched windows and strong pediment, harks back to classical times, yet was built in the age of industry. If you can, venture inside. Take the glass lift up to the first floor balcony to get a better look at the vaulted ironwork of the roof. It was designed by the engineer Ordish, who also designed St. Pancras, that grand cathedral to trains. Notice the details, the patterns cut out in the struts. From outside, this roof is all copper, all green, but from where you stand looking up, it's sunlight and metal. It's a space filled with a quiet, dazzling light. Descend the curved staircase when you're ready and leave the way you came, turning left to walk around the edge of the building, past the trees that are filled with pigeons, these once rare birds that are now everywhere. If you're lucky, you'll catch a flight of them as they lift from the ground to the rooftops across the road. They circle 2 or 3 times before settling. 100 pigeons perched neatly in rows, eyes ready, watching the streets. Follow the building around its corner, and there in front of you is Quad. Its tilting square sandstone facade, echoing Whitehurst's 18th century displays of geological strata. It's a big mouthful. The bricks forming layers of Derbyshire stone. Heritage and history can be seen in the newest buildings. They carry on telling the story of Derby, whilst adding their own elements too. Now head towards Quad, but veer right, taking the 3 steps or the curving ramp down into the memorial garden. At its centre, in one of the raised beds, you find a boy and a goose, cast in bronze. The boy's arm swings out behind him, his legs lifted as if lost in a dance. This statue stood in so many different locations in Derby, and the boy keeps playing his tune, and the goose dips its head, flaps wings, listens. Circle the statue. See it from all sides, so you take in every view of the skyline. There's the council house, red brick, neat windows, rectangles in rectangles. And there's the cube of quad, with the Tudor front of the registry office behind and the elegant clock tower of the Guildhall in the distance. And then there's the market hall, its green roof revealed, the massive curve of it, sitting atop the red bricks and pale arch details. There are all the different styles and ages of buildings in just this small space. They nestle together, layer upon layer of brick and stone and metal. And ideas too, and dreams. The beginnings of plans for greater things, the walls that held people together, that keep them safe and warm and loved. And I'm going to stop here and skip towards the end because I'd like you to have a go if you get the chance. So the next bridge is a beauty. It's my favourite bridge. A Bowstring Girder bridge built by Andrew Handyside in 1877 to take trains across the river. A few steps lead you up onto it. Pause midway to enjoy the views of the Derwent. On one side, the path you've taken. On the other, the rowing club. And all around you, trees and greenery. Over the bridge is the site of the Roman fort at Deventio, whose clay ramparts can still be seen in the field to the left. Here, men dreamed of roads that would lead them back to Rome, although some stayed, built their futures in this green, swollen land, gifted as their blood and names and features. These things live on far longer than stone. Continue on in a straight line across what's now a car park and what may soon be more flood defences, and turn right when you reach the road. This awe-inspiring building, full of light and history, with its grand Victorian arch windows, was Haslam's foundry, where the very first refrigerators for ships were built, changing the world again by enabling meat to be imported to a growing nation from the other side of the world. Cross the road from the foundry and stand at the corner of Chester Green, the ancient common where this story map ends. On this land, animals grazed, centurions marched, pretenders to the throne met and conspired. People feasted, held dances, had markets and sang. Some of these trees are older than half millenniums. This first one you reach at the corner. This tree is hundreds of years old. It's seen so many come and go. Maybe not the Romans or the Saxons, but those wild industrialists with their big ideas, those world changers, and all the others changing the world in their own small ways, you even. This tree was around when they were. This tree stands here still. So that's the story map. The website is storymaps.co.uk, and you can go there and follow my journey as I take the idea of story maps to new cities. And what I'd like people to do, if you get the chance, and if this has inspired you to go out and explore your own city, is on the website there's a form where you can feed back in your favourite places, and these will all be added to a master map. And when I have a few points in a certain place, I'll go to that place, do some research, write some stories, and create a new story map for that place. So I hope this has inspired you to go out and explore your city. Your city's full of stories. I urge you, just go out and find them. Thank you.